Hello and welcome to episode 17 of the HERBGARDEN knitwear podcast. Hi, my name is Hannah. I'm the maker and designer behind HERBGARDEN knitwear. A warm welcome to everyone who recently joined me on this channel. I'm so happy that you are here. I am a knitwear designer located in northern Germany. I have been knitting for about 10 years now and I am releasing knitting patterns since 2019. On this channel, I usually share regular knitting podcasts where I talk about what I'm currently working on and also show you my finished objects. But I also have some kind of hybrid videos between traveling, yarn festivals and yarn stores in other cities. So if you enjoy some kind of mix between travel and knitting content, you are definitely in the right place. This is the first podcast episode that I upload in 2025, and since we last spoke, I have finished 2 knitting projects and I have a new sweater that I'm currently working on, and I also got out my sewing machine and finished 2 sewing projects that I want to share with you today. And at the end of the video I would like to share with you how I built a kind of skein holder yarn storage kind of thing for myself last summer. I had wanted to upload this for a while and somehow I always forgot, so I will include that for you at the end of this video. For this year I have been trying to take knitting and crafting really slow. I really want to enjoy the process and not just mass produce items. I think I want to really focus on items that I will love to wear and rather work on them really with a lot of passion and don't rush through things. So this is what I really enjoy at the moment. I am wearing my Wesekh sweater today, which is a pattern that I released in 2021. It's still one of my all-time favorite patterns. I really love the combination of the vertical stripes and the horizontal stripes. I decided to work these vertical stripes not only because of the appearance, like the visual effect they're making, but also because they are a great way to add short rows to a circular yoke sweater without disrupting the pattern, the stitch pattern. So you can very nicely hide the short rows within this vertical stripe section. So this is why I did this. I love to have these little details in my patterns that are both visually appealing but also very functional when you wear the garment. So this is kind of always what I try to do when I'm writing up my patterns. The last time we spoke, I had just started the Calla Shawl by Natasja Hornby of Moonstruck Knits, I believe. And by now I have finished that shawl. I have it not here with me today as I gifted it to a dear friend, but I planned ahead, which I'm a little proud of, and I took some footage for you before I gifted the shawl away so that you can see the finished object in its total glory. For the shawl I used a yarn from a German indie dyer who's called Phoebe and Mercy Yarns. Her name is Kristin, I believe, and the yarn that I used is the Merino Decay, I believe. I will link everything that I am talking about in the description box below, so I could also link my Ravelry project for this shawl so that you can find all the details you might be interested in. All in all, I really enjoyed working the shawl because for me it was kind of the right balance of different stitch patterns. You have this beautiful flower motif which is very intricate but also quite fun to work, but it also requires some concentration, of course. And then in between these flower motifs you have this broken rib stitch, which is a lot of fun to me because it's very repetitive, and so in these sections you make a lot of progress quickly. And for me that was really a great combination at the time, because I had on the one hand something that I could really indulge in and knit very mindfully, and then had something after that where I could see that I'm still making progress, and this is something that I really enjoy in a knitting pattern. I love how the shawl turned out. The yarn was perfect for it. It had a very nice stitch definition, and when I washed it, it blocked out very nicely, and it really brings out the pattern beautifully. One thing that was a little bit unfortunate is that I ran out of yarn before I could finish the whole pattern. I think at the end I had to skip about 4 or 6 rows, something like that. And I also had to substitute the beautiful picot bind-off that was in the pattern for another bind-off that used a little less yarn. So in the pattern there is a picot bind-off that has the little picots very close to each other, and I think it looks perfectly for this shawl. I really like the look of it, and I would have loved to work that, but when the picots are really close to each other, you need a lot of yarn to finish that bind off. And I knew I couldn't do it with the amount of yarn that I had left, so I decided to improvise another picot bind off that I had used in the past, where the picots are spread out a little further, and also they are a little less pronounced, they use a little less yarn. And I tried to align the picots with the stitch pattern, so that in every column where you had one of these flower motifs, it ended with the picot in the middle of this section, in the middle of this repeat kind of. I hope this makes sense. And all in all, I think it turned out great for the fact that I had to improvise this. But I would have also loved to work the bind-off that was supposed to be part of the shawl. So all in all, I am very happy with the result, and I think it was a very successful knitting project, and I think my friend who received the shawl was very, very happy, which then of course makes me very, very happy. So it was a great first project for this year. After I finished the shawl, I cast on another gift knit because my grandma asked me to make her a new hat for her birthday, which is in January. And since January was the month that I released the Winterwoods hat, I decided to cast on another one for her, and this is what I did. Once again, I cannot show you the finished object here today, but I have some footage that I will include here in this video. I chose to make her the version that includes bubbles. In the pattern there are 2 versions, one that is only cables and one is cables with bubbles, and the combination creates some kind of floral motif. And I really love both versions, but she had seen the one with bubbles when I wore it, and so this is what I made her. I used 2 strands, one strand of Retrosaria Mondim, which is a beautiful 100% woolen sock yarn, and it is a little heavier in weight than normal sock yarn is. It has 385 meters per 100 grams. And I really love this yarn for many things, not only for socks. And I held it together with a typical silk mohair. I believe I used Filcola Natilia for this one. And the resulting fabric is so squishy and so soft and so warm. And I think it really is perfect for a hat. I'm really happy with how this turned out. After I finished these 2 gift knits in January, I was very eager to cast on something for myself, and I was kind of in a weird mood because while I really wanted to start something new, I was kind of indecisive what I wanted to make. First I swatched for the Rivendell cardigan, which is a pattern by Sari Nordlund, and I had seen Michaela of Stitches and Stam knit this cardigan in her podcast last year. She made some genius alterations which I think turned out so beautiful, and I really was inspired to make something similar. But for some reason I could not get gauge at all. The pattern suggests, I believe, 1 strand of knitting for olive merino and a silk mohair, and I could not get gauge with that at all. And I also did not have anything in my stash that I could imagine using for this project. So to be honest, I was a little bit frustrated for a while, and then I saw 2 yarns in my local yarn store, and basically I just fell in love with the color combination, and that is how I decided to cast on a sweater with these yarns. So let me show you. So this is Holst Lucia and Holst Titicaca, and these are both very, very thin and light yarns. The Titicaca is a 100% alpaca yarn. It has 50 grams and 400 meters, so this is very, very fine. Yes, and the other one is more fluffy yarn, and it is also mostly alpaca for 42%, baby alpaca, 35% mulberry silk, and 13% fine merino wool, and 10% yak. And this has a same or a similar length to weight ratio as usually a silk mohair would have. These are 25 grams and 200 meters. And I'm holding 1 strand of each of these yarns, and I really love how light and soft and drapey the fabric is that this creates. So let me show you what I decided to cast on. At the moment it's a little difficult to see, but we'll try. So I cast on a drop shoulder, pretty boxy drop shoulder sweater with the boat neckline, and I hope you can see this is kind of the boat neck, and I have some cables here on the shoulders, so this is where I will pick up stitches for the sleeves later. So on the shoulder we have this cable motif which will then run down the sleeves when I knit them, and we have the same cable motif on the sides of the sweater, and I'm currently working on the front part of the split hem. This is what it's called, and I really love this cable motif, and it transitions perfectly both into the split hem and also into the neckline. I hope you can see it. The color is pretty dark, so that's usually a little difficult to show. Yeah, so I did the following. I first cast on only this very short strip here that is part of the neckline, and then worked it to the length of basically how wide I wanted the boat neck to be. And then I made the second one for the back, and then I joined these 2 very short strips that I had here at the outer part of the neck opening, and worked this cable pattern, and did the same thing obviously on the other side of the neck to finish the other shoulder. And after that I had like this kind of funny looking strip that was open in the middle and then had the cables on the shoulders, and picked up the stitches for first the front and then the back panel. It's a little bit hard to describe, but I will try to insert some pictures of how the neckline looked in the very beginning. And then I basically for a while just worked the front and the back flat, and of course I included some short row shaping. So both the front and the neck have short rows in here so that we have a very nice fit around the shoulders in the end. And after I had worked the panels long enough, I simply joined them and the underarm, added a few stitches here for a more comfortable fit, and then I worked in the round and had the cable patterns here at both sides of the sweater. Yeah, now I have almost finished the body, so the back ribbing is already done, and I am currently working here on the ribbing in the front. And so far I'm very happy with how this turned out. I really like the fit so far, and after I have bound off the front ribbing, I will of course pick up stitches for the sleeves and then work them top down. Yeah, and this is a lovely project so far. Of course, with these super fine yarns, this takes some time. I am using 3mm needles, so this is a very, very slow and relaxed knitting project. But for me, this is kind of what I want at the moment. I really want to take things slow and just enjoy the process. And for me, this is kind of the perfect balance to have a little bit, like a little detail of interest here in the sweater, which is not only pretty to look at, but also when you work in the round, you have like this very small sections where you would need to concentrate and do the cabling mindfully, and then you have once again this huge section of stockinette where you can just knit along without thinking too much. And this is, I like the kind of projects that you have a little bit of both. It's not too boring, but it's also not too engaging, because I really like to take my projects to other places and talk to people, and this is kind of the perfect mix for me. I really enjoy that. But I was also wondering, is this something aside from the design, which you may or may not like, this is very personal, is this something that you can imagine knitting? I'm trying to think ahead here, so I'm trying to gauge if it's worth to make this into a knitting pattern or not. And I don't mean if you just find it pretty, because that's very personal, and I know some people might like it and some people don't, and that's totally fine. What I'm more thinking about is, will there be people who will be willing to knit such an oversized and loose fitting sweater on 3mm needles when I will be calling for test knitters? Is this something that is realistic? Obviously, I would choose a long testing time, a long testing period. So I have not started anything in the process of pattern writing yet, but at the moment I think a fair time frame for testing the sweater would be something between 4 and 6 months. But yeah, to be honest, I enjoy knitting this so much at the moment, but this is also slow. I've been knitting on this for several weeks now, and I'm making progress, and it's perfect. But would other people also enjoy to make something so slowly? Please, I would love to hear your thoughts. Just leave me a comment, and I'm not hurt if you're saying, no, it looks nice, but you know, I don't want to knit that. That's fine. I'd rather know up front than put in all the work and then, you know, it was for nothing because there are either no test knitters or nobody will buy this. So I really need an honest opinion here. So please let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. Either way, I will of course keep you updated about this project. And to be honest, I really am looking forward to wearing this. The fabric is so nice. I'm not sure, it always is very difficult to show on camera, especially when the needles are still in here, but maybe you can already see that it is very drapey. And at the same time, this is a very warm fabric with all the alpaca yarn and the fluff in here. So I think this will be a dream to wear because it is both very light and the stitches are tiny. I mean, this is, and I'm not sure if you can even see it, but yeah, I believe this is going to be a dream to wear. Very relaxed, very oversized, very comfortable and yet elegant at the same time. So yeah, you might see I'm very much in love with this knitting project at the moment. This is everything knitting-wise that I can show you today. This project will require my attention for quite some more time, and so far I have not made any plans for a new project. If you're new here, you might not know yet, I am a monogamous knitter. I always just cast on something and finish it before I cast on the next thing. Usually if I want to cast on a new thing mid-project, when I am still working at something, that's an indicator for me that there is something wrong with the project that I'm working on. When I grow tired of it, it's usually that I have a feeling that it's not working out very well or that I need to make some changes, and usually I know that something is wrong with the project when I'm losing interest. And so far this has not happened here, so I will just continue knitting on this and of course let you know how it goes. I think this was everything regarding knitting that I have to share with you today, but as I said before, I also finished 2 sewing projects. So if you're interested in that, please keep watching. Otherwise, I will add some timestamps so that you can jump to the end where I show you how I built my yarn storage. And if this is all not your cup of tea, then thank you for watching this far, and I will see you next time while we now get into the sewing content. I learned to sew from my mom when I was still a child. We were allowed, my sister and I, to use my mom's sewing machine to make some tiny dresses for our dolls. And while I have learned sewing before I learned how to knit, I now prefer knitting a lot because I feel like it's, for once, it's more flexible. You can rip out and fix mistakes easier than in sewing, because once you cut into the fabric, you know, the damage is done. There's no going away. There's no going back there. But what I also prefer about knitting is that it does not take over your house as much, or at least maybe it's just me, but when I sew, I have my whole living room occupied with pattern pieces and the sewing machine and the place where I iron everything, and you know, it takes over a lot of space and creates chaos. So this is why I usually and mostly knit, but every once in a while I feel the urge to get out my sewing machines and to do some sewing again, and this is what also happened this year, and I decided to try out 2 new to me patterns, and one was very successful and the other one was semi-successful, and I will make some adjustments here. Let's start with the one that is semi-successful, the Palazzo Pants by Sasha Starlight. These are some lovely wide-legged pants with beautiful pockets, and they are perfect summer pants. And I had some leftover fabric at home that I didn't use for the last few years, and that I had no plans for, and wasn't even sure if I liked the fabric anymore. And this is why I decided, with a pattern that I had not used before, I really want to make like a fit check sample to see if I chose the right size. And the fabric that I used is this light viscose fabric with this woven, almost checkered like fabric. And you can see I did not bother to align the pattern here in the front properly, because I knew I just wanted to see if the fit was okay for me. This pattern comes in only 3 sizes, I believe, and I choose to make the medium size. And while this fits me, I'm not totally happy with how this turned out. I made this almost entirely according to the pattern. I just made one little change which I'm happy with, but I will still also make some other adjustments in the future. What I changed is the following. As you can see, there are pleats here in the front, and I altered them a little bit. They were actually supposed to go in another direction, or were supposed to be folded a little differently. I folded them in a way that they open up in the middle. So basically I did something like this, so that you fold over the fabric from both sides, and you have like the pleat that I have here. And what the pattern wanted you to do was just to fold over a little further, but only in one direction, more like this. And I know that this is something that does not look good on me at all, because while I have a waist, I also have a little bit of a tummy, and with the folds like that, that really, I don't know, I just don't feel comfortable wearing that. So I made this adjustment, and I think it looks great. And I also really love how the pockets look. They are very, very generous with the amount of space that there is in here, and they look really, really nice. So I will insert some footage of me wearing this, and you will see, while I can wear this, this does not fit me perfectly. So have a look. I would absolutely be able to wear this, even though this was just a fit check sample, and I will probably just wear this at home to feel comfortable. The pockets are really, really great, have a lot of space, but I think for my personal liking, I'm still not quite happy with the pleats in the front, and I also feel like the legs are a little too wide for my liking. So this is something that I would change. Also, if you see me wear it with these heels, then the length is okay. But if I would wear these with the flat shoes, then the length in a pattern would actually be too short for me, which is surprising because I'm not super tall. I'm not quite 1.70 m, so I'm not super tall, but these pants would actually be too short for me, I believe. So if I would make these again, I would probably take a little bit of width out of the legs, and I would also probably not do the pleats again. Either I would take out the width where the pleat should be, so then I would have a smaller leg and not the pleat, or if I'm not quite sure if that feels okay, I would rather take out a little bit of width here at the back where we have a lot of space still left. And instead of doing the fold here, I would also make like, how do you call this? It's not basically a ruffle, but you would make it in the same way. Like I would gather, that's probably what you call this. I would gather the fabric here so that the waistband would still be completely straight, but the pants below would have wrinkles is not the word. I hope you can understand me. My sewing vocabulary is really lacking at the moment, so I hope this makes sense. So, all in all, I would say this was a successful fit check because I can absolutely wear this, and I can really see myself making these pants again. These are a very quick and easy, beginner-friendly pattern, I would say, because obviously there's no zipper, or there are no buttons, or nothing like that. You just have like the stretchy waist in the back, which I also love because, you know, it accommodates you throughout your life. It has a stretch, so you can even wear these when you plan to eat a lot, or it grows and shrinks as you do. So this is something that I really, really like about sewing patterns, if they are flexible to fit your body in different phases of your life. So what more can I say? I'm really happy with how these turned out, but I'm also glad that I made a pair to just check the fit, because I would definitely make some adjustments in the future if I were to make this from a more expensive fabric. Yeah. This was sewing project number 1. And the second pattern that I made is the Blaze dress by Sewing More. And here I have this lovely little page that I can show you, that you can see a little bit of the details. It comes in a dress and a top version, and you can either choose a long sleeve or a sleeveless version. And what I really liked about this pattern, it has an amazing amount of sizes. I believe there are 15 sizes here. And this is something that I really appreciate, as I'm always trying in my knitting patterns as well to include as many sizes as I can. So this is wonderful for me as a customer of the sewing pattern to have this huge variety of sizes. And once again, I made this from a fabric that I had at home, that I had bought years ago, and that I was not planning to use for anything in particular. And I'm also finding that over the years, this is something that I would maybe not buy today. I feel it doesn't suit me perfectly, but once again, it was great to have this at home to just make a sample to check the fit of this dress. And I basically worked according to the pattern, but I did 2 adjustments. First of all, I made short sleeves. I can show you here. I made short sleeves, and I also decided to reduce the puff that is in the shoulder sleeve connection here. There's a little bit of a puff sleeve. And I don't think that is something that I enjoy to wear, even though there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So I altered the sleeve pattern a little bit so that it has a little less puff here around the sleeves. I wanted more like a regular t-shirt kind of sleeve. And so this, but once again, this is just alteration that was to get the fit that I personally like, but there was nothing wrong with the pattern there. It's just my personal preference. And the other thing that I changed was something that I did not plan to change, but was probably due to my fabric choice. I used 100% viscose fabric. This is a very light and very drapey fabric, which is lovely for dresses, but it also has the side effect that if you cut the neckline, which is not straight but more at a 45 degree, then you had angle, then you get an edge that is a little bit stretchy, because you cut the neckline almost on the bias. And with such a light fabric, I had the issue that the neckline, which is also a boat neck, as you can see here, it's a boat neckline. And when I was wearing it, it was gaping a little bit to the front. I'm not sure if I can describe this, but it did not lie flat on my body, but it was pushing forward a little bit, which I think was due to my fabric and the way that it got maybe stretched a little bit while I was sewing down the facing. And this is why I added this little pleat here in the front, in the center front. This is the same kind of pleat that I added to the pants, where you just fold both sides towards the middle, like this. I can do it again, like you fold it like this. I hope you can see it. And this is what I added here to the center neckline. And that made it lie flat, and also really gave me a lovely shape towards the bust. So while this was just a fix, kind of, I really love how this turned out, and I might even do this intentionally if I would make this dress again, which I'm absolutely planning to do. I will now insert some footage of me wearing this dress because I think it turned out absolutely great. I'm so happy with how this turned out, and this might be the favorite thing I have ever sewn so far. I love the lacing in the waist because you can adjust the dress to your needs. Once again, over the lifespan of this garment, it can shrink and grow with me, which I absolutely love. And it also makes this dress so comfortable, and I really like how this hugs my shape. Very happy with this dress. Will definitely make another one in a fabric that I think will suit me a little better than this brownish orange kind of color. Yeah, very successful sewing project, and I'm so happy that I got out the sewing machine. And this is also a very, very quick project. After I had cut out the fabric pieces, I believe I sewed this dress in about 4 or 5 hours. So this is definitely something that you can do in a weekend if you have a little bit of sewing experience. Yeah, I guess that's everything of my finished objects that I can show you for today. I'm very happy with all the things that I made, and the way that I'm making very slow but very successful progress. And I think now all that's left to do is what I always do at the end of a podcast episode. I try to highlight another knitter, podcaster or designer, and today I would like to introduce you to KMK Wondermix on Instagram. And I have been following her a while. We have been in contact, and she is not only a super kind and lovely person, but she also makes the most beautiful colorwork sweaters. She not only makes colorwork, but she mostly knits colorwork projects, and she shares them regularly, and I think she is so talented, and it's always so wonderful to see her sweaters. So if you're interested in that, check out her profile. I think you will really enjoy it. Thank you so much if you have watched all the way to the end. I really appreciate that you spent your time with me. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would really appreciate it if you would like this episode or even subscribe to this channel, as it helps me out immensely. And at the very end, I will now include the segment where I built my little skein holder. And I really hope it is inspiring to you and that you'll enjoy it. I hope you are well wherever you are, having a lovely knitting project with you, and I can't wait to chat with you next time. Have a great weekend. Bye. For the longest time, I wanted to have some skeins hanging on my wall because I really love to see all my beautiful yarns. And as I could not find a yarn holder that I liked to buy, I decided I had to make one myself. And so I went to the hardware store and bought some materials to build this little yarn storage. I got some beechwood slats and beechwood rods, wood glue, some suspension to bring it all onto the wall, a drill bit which needs to be the same circumference of the rod, a saw, and some saw blades. First, I cut all the rods to the same size. I think I did mine about 20 centimeters. And then I marked where I wanted to drill the holes to later place the rods in. Measure carefully so that you have the same distance between the holes you drill. After I marked the positions where I wanted the rods to go, I made sure that I really placed them in the center. Now we're ready to go. I decided to fix the slats to my table because I do not have like a workshop or something. I needed to do this all in my living room, so we had to improvise, and we want to be safe, so this is what's holding everything in place while I get out my drilling machine. So here you can see the drill bit has the exact same circumference. This is very important because otherwise the rod will later not fit into the hole. And here we go. I tried to drill these as straight down as I could. That's probably not how you say it. Forgive me for my missing vocabulary. I did make some holes that were not very straight down but had a slight angle. But you know, I've never tried this before, and I think the result is still pretty okay. Here I'm checking if the hole is deep enough, and I decided I had to go down a little further, but it's important that you do not drill completely through. You still want the back to be completely intact. Still not deep enough, so here we go again. Perfect. Now we got it. So after I drilled all the holes that I wanted, I am now going to attach the suspension to the back. Once again, I have drilled some tiny holes for the little screws, and there we go. We can now hang this whole thing onto the wall. Now all that's left to do is glue the rods into place. I used a wood glue that turns transparent once it is dry. So now you can still see it, but in the end it will become invisible. I added a little bit of glue into the hole, and then I pushed down the rod and turned it around to evenly distribute the glue, and then I wiped off all the excess with a wet towel. This is how I glued in all the rods, and then we just have to leave it there overnight, and then we can mount it to the wall. And here we are. I really think it looks great. You can see they are not all parallel or even. Some are going a little bit up or down, but I still think it looks great, and I'm very happy with how my yarn storage turned out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was inspiring to you, and I am looking forward to chat with you next time. Bye.